It rains and I ran. Wipe the sleep out of my.
They are an unusual couple.
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
We just don't know what to expect.
Howdy, neighbors.
Hey, buddy.
Wanda, what's up? Who are you?
I don't know.
I think something's wrong here.
Wanda, can you read me? Who's doing this to you?
Are you here to help us? This is our home.
Then let's fight for it.
Aloha. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And today, I'm not bringing you a movie review, but a TV show review. The first 2 episodes of WANDAVISIon dropped on Disney Plus yesterday, January 16th, 2021. And now many of you know that this was supposed to be last summer of 2020, and then it was pushed to December of 2020, and then pushed again to January of 2021. And but they did go ahead and finally drop it. It is on Disney Plus every week. Half-hour episodes. I believe it's going to be about 10 episodes. Pretty much just like The Mandalorian. And just like The Mandalorian, many of the episodes will be 30 minutes or so. Now, they did say, Disney Plus, or Disney did say through Marvel Studios that, yes, they will be, not all of them will be 30 minutes. But these first 2 were 30 minutes, so you get an hour between the, combining the 2. And, well, without further ado, remember our rating scale, shock a thumbs up, it's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's junk, it's bad to see, I don't recommend it. And for WandaVision, the first 2 episodes anyways, it is a strong shock a thumbs up. Now, this stars, of course, as you know, Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen from the Marvel Universe, and the Vision, Paul Bettany, reprising his role, even though we had seen him die in Infinity War. And unlike many of the other heroes, he did not make a comeback in Endgame. So, what can I say about these first 2 episodes? I've tried to avoid all the spoilers. Lots of people are talking about them online. And I've read some of the titles of their videos. And one was, this had me very confused and very concerned, was one of them. I myself am not confused or concerned with these 2 episodes. But I will say that if you are a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just that, not of the comics, then you might actually be pretty confused jumping right into these episodes. As some of the previews, the trailers have shown, this opens up very much like a 50s television comedy. The first episode, really iconic along the lines of I Love Lucy, kind of a mix between I Love Lucy and the Dick Van Dyke Show. Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen's character is very much playing a Desi-like character at home, homebody, making dinner for a unannounced boss's dinner and for Vision, you know, his boss coming over with his wife for dinner to, you know, secure his position in his job. And we get to see a little bit of his job. That's where it kind of blurs into the Dick Van Dyke Show, where he's working at a company with other people at a desk. Very un-Lucille Ball-like. No dancing or singing. Although I'm sure Paul Bettany could pull it off, and I'm surprised they didn't go that route. You know, kind of a Ricky Ricardo. But they didn't, sticking more with office work, kind of, a la, like I said, the Dick Van Dyke Show, where they are doing calculations, computing something. And Vision right away is curious as to what all these numbers that he's crunching, as he's the #1 guy to do it, being an android, of course. In disguise as a human, since he is apparently in suburbia, living, married to the Scarlet Witch. So outside of that, we don't really get any answers. And like I said, you know, this opens up, this is where you might be confused if you're not familiar with the comics and the reality bending powers of the comic Scarlet Witch, only knowing her from the movies with her kind of telepathic and telekinetic powers. In the comics, she has the ability to shape reality, much more powerful than her movie counterpart. In addition to all the telekinesis, telepathy kind of powers. Actual, almost spell-like, you know, almost magic per se. And that's what they're kind of leaning on here as the second episode opens up into more of a like Bewitched kind of style, along again with keeping the Dick Van Dyke theme. You know, she's wearing in the first episode a dress, the second episode she's wearing wearing slacks, and seems to be much more, you know, in tune with the times, or at least being a little bit more progressive. And by the end of the episode, it turns into color. So moving from the 50s into the 60s now. It seems that each episode is going to be a generational, maybe a decade jump from its television counterpart. So again, starting with maybe Lucille Ball, I Love Lucy, in the 50s, moving into the late 50s, mid 50s, late 50s, almost the early 60s with the Dick Van Dyke Show. Probably again jumping, as we see at the end of episode 2, into the 60s and coloration, which startles both the Vision and Wanda, Scarlet Witch. Having been, as you can see in the trailers, black and white throughout the majority of the episodes. But there does seem to be something, some type of actual reality jumping in or leaking in as color is shown at certain points. We see an Iron Man-like themed helicopter, toy helicopter in fact, that kind of breaks its way into Wanda's yard, and she finds, and that is red and gold, or red and yellow, just like Tony's suit. There is blood in episode 2, which is bright red, full color, and that is before the end of the episode with full coloration. So essentially we are introduced to all the players, Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, their neighbors. We will see many more, I'm sure. You know, the people that he works with, her neighbors. One that stands out particularly is As we've seen from the trailer, Agnes, there is some, we haven't gotten a last name on her, but there is some speculation that she is Agnes Harkins. And if that is totally true, then she is a powerful witch in Marvel Comics, being the nanny to Franklin Richards, Reed Richards, and Susan Richards, the Fantastic Four's son. So we will see about that. And if she is a true witch, she might be there helping or maybe somewhat behind what is happening to Scarlet Witch and thus Vision. Now we know Vision is dead from Infinity War and Endgame. But like I said, you know, these episodes, he is very much alive, she is alive, and they have no knowledge of the time before they started living here. And that part of their lives seems to be very much filled in. And again, when they start to ponder those things, they're just at a loss, along with their neighbors, about where they were and what they did before moving to these suburbs. In addition to that, we get some broken radio broadcasts on the radio and the television showing perhaps the outside world or reality itself trying to break in and contact the Scarlet Witch. You know, saying, Wanda, Wanda, where are you? Who is doing this to you? Are you all right? You know, but those, as concerning as they are, whatever spell, whatever thing has her mind engulfed, brushes those warnings away rather quickly, and she soon forgets about this outside contact, which will, I'm sure, only grow with further episodes, as we kind of see in some of those original trailers. So I guess my thoughts are that, yes, it is a shock, a thumbs up. It is a little confusing if you were expecting superhero antics right from the get-go. It's very much not that. It is very much just a 50s, 60s comedy TV show, which they allude to in the final trailer. And we are left wondering what is going on. How is Vision alive? Is this just in her mind? Did she have a psychological breakdown? Is somebody attacking her with illusions or some type of mind control, some type of spell that has her in this alternate reality, a la maybe a Doctor Strange and the mirror kind of prism universe per se? Could it be Dormammu, Doctor Strange's villain? You know, there are multiple theories out there of who is behind this. But as it is set up like a 50s, 60s television show, we get to see some behind-the-scenes commercials take place, and these are with Hydra and Strucker. Strucker being the man who had raised Scarlet Witch and her brother, Petro, the speedster. So, you know, these could just be elements of her mind trying to cope with this. And of course, she would see Baron Strucker having been maybe the father, you know, the unlikely father who raised her and her brother in these commercials, and trying to put them together in this fragmented version of her mind. Or, you know, or some people could think that maybe Hydra has some type of powerful machine that is affecting her memories and her mind. I don't think so. I don't think Hydra, after Winter Soldier or any of that, is quite as powerful as that. And that would take a great amount of mind control and power to be behind that. So I don't believe Hydra has any grips on the Scarlet Witch per se, and that this is more of a supernatural entity, again, like a Dormammu. Some people said that since this is linked to the upcoming Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, it could be Nightmare. He is a entity from the dark dimension that, you know, while people are sleeping, enters their dreams, giving them whatever they want, but then changing things into a nightmare. Very much like what we see Wanda going through, wanting the perfect life with her husband Vision, who was sadly taken away from her prematurely thanks to Thanos in Infinity War. And thus the nightmare, her mind could totally snap once she realizes this is a dream and she is being manipulated, and thus she could actually tap into greater powers of the Soul Stone that gave her her powers originally in the Marvel Universe, and thus alter reality to actually bring Vision back into you know, the real world, along with anything else from her imagination, thus fracturing you know, reality as we know it, seeing some of those alternate timelines warp into our reality, very much like we had seen them go back in an in Endgame. And that could play a role into the multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange, and why in the next Spider-Man 3 movie, we will see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield along with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Since these three are rumored to all be connected, these movies, tying its foundation into WandaVision here and now. Very interesting to think. I think it probably is something to do with like Nightmare. Some people have speculated that this could be how they're going to bring in the mutants. At the end of episode 2, we see that Wanda is pregnant. We haven't seen any hanky-panky between Vision and her. So it could be some evil entity using her body to form a physical presence in our world, a la like a Legion kind of thing, you know, that had happened to him being taken over. So maybe this evil entity needs a real body to exist in our world, and thus she's going to give birth to like a Damien type character. This could be Nightmare. This, you know, maybe working with Dormammu. Again, some people have speculated that this could bring in the X-Men and mutants, which it very well could. But I think it may only hint at that. I don't think we will actually see any solid source of mutants per se, just because Feige has said that's way down the road, and that he's going to tackle Fantastic Four first before he brings in the mutants. If he had not said that, I would say just lightly I would have entertained the thought that maybe this Scarlet Witch, Wanda, and could be in a version of Arcade's Murder World. You know, because he has shown the technical prowess in the comics to make androids of people's allies, teammates, etc., all with powers, etc., in a fully functional world to trick the X-Men. So that could have been a feat for that. However, it would not explain some of the things that we've seen, kind of the reality bursting shown as that, especially focusing on television, like a 50s and 60s, 70s comedy. That would play more with a theory of mine that maybe this is connected to Mojo World, and Mojo. Those familiar with X-Men villains know that Mojo is a major X-Men villain of an alternate dimension, ruler of his dimension, and often has the ability to take over people's minds, alter a version of reality, and totally immerse them in that reality to where they forget who they really are and where they had really come from. Now, this could be very interesting, as it could be where some of the X-Men may have been trapped earlier, and maybe that's why we had never heard or seen any of the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That Mojo had, as quickly as they were imbued with their power at their adolescent age, Mojo takes them away to this alternate dimension. You know, and knowing that the Scarlet Witch is out there, he wants her and her power in order to maybe conquer our dimension and all the other dimensions. Who knows? You know, I'd say that has a very slim margin of chance of actually happening, but I would definitely like to see that. And I you know, just, you know, spitballing here, that kind of makes sense for what we were seeing on a, you know, because Mojo's kind of a player of, like, on the level of Dormammu, of Nightmare, you know, semi-mystical like powers, along with using technology, which is what we seem to be seeing here. And he has a panache for television shows, and the TV kind of makes me think a Mojo could be behind this, but that would be a really deep cut by Kevin Feige. It wouldn't surprise me if he did it, but it would surprise me that he would go all out like that, because that would be really out of left field. All right, so again, shock a thumbs up for the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. It's so far shaping up very interesting. You know, this is something even your parents could watch, even if they'd never seen any of the Marvel movies, just because it is, the first 2 episodes at least, are just standard comedies with a little bit of intrigue thrown in there, little twists, like, oh, what's that? You know, they're a little glitch in the Matrix kind of a thing that, you know, maybe your parents would notice, your grandparents, but they just like, oh, this was a funny comedy. Whereas you was like, oh my God, what's going on? You know? All right, so again, strong shock a thumbs up for WandaVision, these first 2 episodes. It's going to come out apparently every Friday throughout the 10 episodes, 8 episodes left. Hopefully there's more. I'm not sure, but we'll just have to keep you posted. So right now, check it out. Strong shock a thumbs up when you can, however you can. Check it out on Disney+. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, saying mahalo and aloha.